I want to welcome friends and family of the Lutzie 43 Foundation, media, and special guests. Thank you all for joining us today. And thank you so much to the Arthur M. Blank Family Foundation for hosting us in this incredible venue. Hats off to them, this beautiful, beautiful venue. Whether you've supported the foundation from the start or are new to the story, we appreciate your presence here today, and we value your support in today's event and the initiatives of the Lutzie 43 Foundation. My name is Rachel Barbeau. I'm a graduate of Auburn University, the Broadcast Journalism School, and I'm a national sportscaster. I was the first female host on Sirius XM ESPNU, and now I have my own show called The Rachel Barbeau Show on a new network called Backroad Sports Network, and I'm the founder of an initiative called Changing the Narrative. But Mike and I have come together in honor of his son, to change lives. And it is my honor today to be here with this family, to support this initiative, to support this drive, because I know how much character Philip had on the field and how much character he had off the field. And what a large, beautiful shadow he cast across the game of football and this thing we call life. So it is my honor to be here today to represent the Lutzie 43 Foundation. And as I mentioned, since his passing, he and I have forged a beautiful relationship. He's come to my events to talk about anti-bullying. We've talked to young athletes about purpose, passion, platform. How do we view women? How do we treat women? Mental health. And so again, I just want to say one more time, it's my honor to be here to support this amazing work that this foundation is doing today. And we're here today to kick off the National Teen Driver Safety Week with the unveiling of the Lutzie 43 Foundation's new mission and initiative, 43 Key Seconds. 43 Key Seconds initiative is about creating a national symbol for safe driving. And my gosh, we need that, don't we? With an ultimate goal of creating positive ambassadors for change and safe driving. The work and the impact of the Lutzie 43 Foundation and their 43 Key Seconds initiatives will have on communities in producing more safe drivers and positive ambassadors for safe driving will be astonishing. Think of the lives that we are going to save. And think of the impact. Here's the thing, just to go off script for a second. You think about the lives you're going to save, but think about the impact that those lives that you're going to save are going to have on the world. The things that they're going to go out and do, the things that they're going to go out and accomplish. I think about that when I think about the work that Mike and his family has done in this foundation and the partnership with this wonderful, wonderful foundation where we're hosting this today. Think about the impact that those lives are going to have. What if they cured cancer? What if they were the next Nobel Prize winner? What if they were the next great author? So think about that in the work that we're doing today and the tireless work that we're doing today. I am just completely honored today to introduce my friend, Mike Lutzenkirchen. He's Philip's father and the executive director of the Lutzie 43 Foundation. I'll also be introducing Angela Blank, the director of the Arthur M. Blank Family Foundation, and Arthur Blank as well, chairman of the Arthur M. Blank Family Foundation, and also it'll be my honor to introduce Harris Blackwood as well. So right now I'd like to bring up the lifeblood of Lutzie 43, the man who carries his son's torch honorably and tirelessly. It is my distinct pleasure and honor. And he's going to tell you a story that he told me this morning in the car, that his son has been with us. He's been making his presence known just today. He's here in this beautiful work that we are doing. He is the father of the late Philip Lutzenkirchen. And since Philip's passing in 2014, Mike has served as the executive director of the Lutzie 43 Foundation. And as I mentioned, has made it his mission in life to carry out Philip's legacy. And what a beautiful legacy it was. Prior to starting the Lutzie 43 Foundation, Mike's career in sales, sales management, marketing, including positions with Macmillan Publishing, IBM, and Speed Tracks. He resides in Marietta, Georgia, with his wife of 32 years, Mary, and together they have 3 daughters, Amy, Ann, and Abby. What a beautiful family. Mike?
Good morning. There's so many people I need to thank as I get started here, and my friends at Night Edie out of Birmingham, our sports agency that makes sure I go where I'm supposed to go, when I need to go, and so forth. Hopefully somebody's going to give me a signal to stop short of my comments so I don't keep going all day long. But I want to thank everybody that's here first and foremost. Arthur and Angie, what you've meant to us since we've got together, since we lost Philip. And there's a story that goes back of their daughter Morgan going to Auburn with Philip. It's just to have this facility, to have your support means the world to us. Harris Blackwood with the Governor's Office of Highway Safety. Harris and I met one time. I call him a friend. I hope he calls me a friend. I think we're going to do many things together. There's just so many people here. We've got 2 of Cobb County's finest sitting in the back of the room. And you look for a thing I call God winks. And I've had a couple God winks already this morning. One is I got to see an officer who was a school resource officer at Phillips High School, Lassiter, when he was a student there through 2008. For him to be here is incredible. I woke up this morning and went outside at about 6:15 and got in the van for some reason, turned it on, and the temperature's 43 degrees. My wife and I got a coffee on the way down here at Dunkin' Donuts. We like Dunkin' Donuts coffee, and the bill and the receipt was $4.43. And there's another thing of 43 going on that I'm going to let one of the speakers share today of relevance. But if you don't believe that my son's here beyond just a picture, he's here at everywhere we go and what we try to do. And it's because of Philip and how he treated people and the platform he created. We believe we can change the narrative on what's going on in avoidable, distracted, and impaired accidents and fatalities across this country. I want to tell you a little bit about what we've done to date. We started this foundation based on losing Philip on June 29th of 2014 in a single vehicle accident. It happened in LaGrange. He was 23 years old. And it happened because Philip made a series of poor decisions that day on a Saturday, along with some friends that involved alcohol. Philip was the backseat rider in a SUV where both he and the driver were drunk. I believe the other 2 kids were drunk also, but because Philip and this young man lost his life, it was proven that they were drunk. And they went out for the silliest of reasons at 2:30 in the morning to get a can of dip. The driver needed a can of dip, and they weren't wearing seatbelts, and they were speeding, and they lost their lives. It's a powerful message to go and speak across this country, and what I'm proud of, we have estimated that I have spoken to 168,000 kids across this country, from California to Texas to New York, Massachusetts, a lot in the state of Florida, Alabama, and mostly Georgia. 168,000 lives we think we've touched. And to give you a statistic that's important to me, I spent so much time in Alabama. I'm involved as a keynote speaker in an event that State Farm funds, and it's run by Alabama Children's Hospital of Alabama. It's called Your Keys to Drive, URKEYS, the number 2 DRV, and I'm proud of it. We'll do 4 events this fall again. It's the 4th year I've been doing it. I am the keynote speaker, and these kids go through 4 incredible breakout sessions that open their eyes to what this is all about. And to give you perspective, we feel good about it. This fall, we'll touch 1,500 more kids. But there's 1,138 public and private high schools in the state of Alabama. So we're really not touching that many. And I'm proud of this foundation that we have set out to walk before we run. All of our board members aren't here today, but 3 of them are. My daughter, Ann, who's rotated on the board when my oldest daughter, Amy, started on the board. Bobby Penner, dear friend, and Bill McClellan. And there's a couple other board members that couldn't make it today because this thing called life gets in our way. Bo Jackson is a board member for us. His daughter went to college at Auburn with Philip, and they were brotherhood because of being football players at Auburn. Kim Hudson is the wife of future Hall of Famer Tim Hudson. Kim's a board member. They have a foundation. They give us great guidance in that area. And Kyle Cooper couldn't be here today. So what I do, I just happen to be the face, but it's that board that drives me to do the right things at the right pace. And back in March, we decided, you know what, we're happy about and proud of what this foundation has done. In addition to the 168,000 kids we've touched, we've delivered we've given away 16 of our $4,300 scholarships we call the PFL Scholarship. Personally, to me, it means Philip Francis Lutz in Kirkland, but publicly it means Prepared for Life. We've distributed over 5,000 copies of our curriculum called 43 Key Lessons, which is a character development curriculum, but we sat and thought, are we doing enough? Quite frankly, somebody challenged me to wake up one day and said, every day you wake up, Mike, and you get further away from Philip's presence on earth, are you concerned about his relevance? As you get further away from the Southeast, are you concerned? And they were very wise questions, because I absolutely was. So to steal one of Bill's terms, he gives me great guidance, he said, Mike, let's consider a pivotal change. And we met an individual that said, Mike, that symbol of a key that you use in your Keys to Drive Teen Driving Summits, that's it. And he got so excited about it. He goes, that's it. This can be as big as Live Strong. And Live Strong, if you go back into 2000, Nike funded it. It was the first initiative that really came out with the popular wristbands that we have. But they sold over 100 million wristbands to people to help support cancer research. Lance Armstrong got involved. And I slept on it, quite frankly, for 2 days and said, Philip's not worthy of something that big. Our foundation isn't worthy of something that big. And I started to tie it together, all the research I've tried to do with the experts that have already been investing their lives, like Harris, on trying to stop the avoidable accidents and fatalities. And I started to think, you know what, Philip is worthy of this, and we can do this. And I recognize there is simply no national symbol, recognizable symbol, for distracted driving. When you think of pink, you think of breast cancer awareness. When you hear the term Live Strong, it ties back to Lance Armstrong. If I were to show you the symbol for the Wounded Warrior Project, almost everybody in this room would know that that's to give back to our service members who've put their lives on the line for us, and we're going to take care of them and help them out. And I started to think, there's no national symbol. So in a little bit, I want to tell you about why this national symbol, we think if we do it right, and I'm going to give a challenge in my closing comments when I come back up to all of us in this room to make a difference, to change this narrative. And to steal a term from Rachel, we have the ability to change this narrative. It's incumbent upon all of us in this room. I'm proud to be in a state where a representative just happened to live around the corner from me, John Carson, who I did not personally know. And John showed up at our first race in August of 2015, a fundraising race that we hold at Lasser High School. And John had a state proclamation for my son. And John is the representative who has pushed to have us be a hands-free state. And we're the 16th state. And if you think about it, only 16th. And I'm proud to push that because I think it's changing lives. And John couldn't be here today because of a previous commitment, but he shared some statistics. Fatalities in this state since July 1st are down 11% over the same reporting period last year. Accidents are down 14% because we've enacted a hands-free law in the state. So I'm a big proponent of that. But I'm here today to want to thank everybody for being here. There's a dear friend here. Quite frankly, I knew who he was by sight. Didn't really know him by name. Didn't know what he did. And I'm not going to tell you where we met and how he approached me, but it was at a wedding, in a room at a wedding. And he said, hey, I've been following you, and I work with Kia. So my friend Terry Mahoney's here, who has kids our children's age, and what Kia has done for us to get this foundation off the ground, I'm forever grateful. And I'm going to give Terry some more challenges after this meeting at some point to do more. But in your bag, you all have this. What we've done is we've created a key, a symbol. It says 43 key seconds on it. And if you think about it, Philip's number was a unique number in the world of sports. There aren't a lot of people that wear 43, and he wore it with pride, and I think he wore it with great representation. I'm not a real smart guy, and somebody said, Mike, do you know the number 143 stands for I love you? My son used to tell people all the time, I love you, man. He high-fived. I never saw him not sign an autograph during his career at Auburn. He just simply loved people, and he lit up a room. But this key says 43 key seconds on it, and opposite side it says 43 in the word T-O, 43 too distracted free. And on the back of this key, we have an opportunity to co-brand it. And Kia has done that with us, and Children's of Alabama has done that with us. And think about this, Terminex, who provides our residential pest control. They put 8,000 drivers on the road every day. An individual I've already gotten committed to at Terminex said, Mike, I've already dealt with 2 fatalities in the eastern half of this country that were caused by my drivers being distracted and they lost their lives. Terminex is talking about putting their logo on the back of this key and giving this to every one of their drivers. The goal of this key is to go around every rear view mirror in this country and hang either on a lanyard or on a necklace so that a driver looks at it and they have a visible, tangible sign that says, I'm not going to be a distracted driver. Or it goes on a keychain. And this is a countdown card. And the countdown that we've created is called clear hands, clear head, clear hands, clear eyes, and click it. And what we hope it does is triggers a teen driver, which, by the way, our teens that leave this earth to go to heaven early isn't because of cancer. It's not because of opioid overdoses or drug overdoses. It's not because of drunk driving, and it's not because of suicide. Distracted driving is the number one thing that's causing our teens to lose their lives in this country, ages 16 to 18. That's our primary audience. But you think about what we've created in the college world, in the Greek system and non-Greek, and the drinking that goes on. We believe that this key can change the narrative. And we hope that our countdown will do that. So I'm honored to be here. I want to thank the media for coming to help support us. I've got another individual here that helped support us in the fall of 2014 with an article after Philip passed away, and came to a talk I gave down at Auburn in March of 2015, and Steve Hummer. Steve, thank you for being here. I want to challenge everybody in this room to help us make a difference in this world. This is not a Georgia. This is not a Southeast. This is a national mission that I'm on to change the narrative on the avoidable deaths and accidents due to distracted and impaired driving. Thank you. We went to church that Sunday morning and came home, and there was a yellow sticky note that I've told thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people during our talks, that simply said, please call this number. And when you get that as a father, and you see the look on your wife's face and the daughter's face, you know that's not something terrible has happened. And ultimately, to make the story short, we learned that Philip had lost his life in a single vehicle accident. My son, the driver, and the other young lady in the back seat weren't wearing seatbelts. There was one young man that wore a seatbelt. At the end of the accident, he unbuckled his seatbelt in a car that was totally crushed and rolled 450 feet, undid his seatbelt and ran for help. If that doesn't tell kids that wearing a seatbelt is important, I tell people all the time, I don't know what condition my son would be in, but if he had worn a seatbelt that day, I'm confident that we wouldn't have this foundation, he'd be alive. Through poor decisions, Philip lost his life, and that's what led, that accident, the loss of our son, led to the Lutzie 43 Foundation. The pillars of the foundation of the programs are our talk called Philip's Legacy, What Legacy Are You Leaving? It's our curriculum, 43 Lessons to Legacy, and it's a scholarship program tied to that curriculum. We do field days for special needs kids in the elementary school age, and we've got two major fundraising events that have become annual events, and that's our golf invitational, and then it's also our road race. We're really, as a foundation, looking at a pivotal change. We're going to continue to do some of the things we've been doing, but the real focus going forward is to make a difference on an area that we, as a family and as a foundation, feel is lacking in this country, and that's called 43 Key Seconds. It's an initiative on our part to use Philip's story to change the narrative on impaired, distracted, and safe driving. The reality of it is the number one thing killing our teens, there's no recognized symbol that when somebody looks at it, says to themselves, I'm not going to be a distracted driver. I'm not going to be an impaired driver, I'm going to be a safe driver. Our 43 key seconds in the physical shape of a key that says 43 key seconds on it, and there's messaging behind it, we believe will become a nationally recognized symbol for distracted driving. You know, when we talk about this key, the goal is for every loved one to have this key around a lanyard or a necklace hanging around a rearview mirror, to be put on a keychain. We want them to have this key visible, so every time they look at it, they sit and say, okay, I've got to put my phone down. I've got to stop texting. I've got to become a non-distracted driver. I've got to be a safe driver. We want somebody to sit down in that car and take 43 seconds to make sure they've got a clear head, clear hands, clear eyes, and are ready to click it before they turn on that vehicle. Because my son's life was lost through both a combination of impaired driving, even though he wasn't the driver, and unsafe driving or distracted driving. We believe our 43 key seconds is going to make a difference in this country and save thousands of lives. Ultimately, the goal is that every driver in this country has this key in their possession that will hopefully make a difference for them.
Right now to introduce you to Angie Blank. Angie is a director of the Arthur M. Blank Family Foundation. Having spent years as sales, marketing, and branding professional, Angela now dedicates her time and talents to building and growing causes that she is passionate about. This includes a position on the University of Georgia Board of Visitors, as well as an active role with Mothers Against Drunk Driving, where she works to increase exposure, funding, and education and teen involvement in the program. A University of South Carolina Sumter alum, Blank resides in Atlanta, Georgia, with her husband, Arthur Blank.
Thank you for those kind words, Rachel. We're thrilled to host the Lutzie 43 Foundation for the announcement of the 43 Key Seconds Safe Driving Initiative. As many of you know, I'm heavily involved with Mothers Against Drunk Driving from the Georgia chapter and also on the national board. The main issue that we like to try to tackle is from a prevention measure. MAD does a great job of victim advocacy, but the main thing we need to really focus on is prevention so that we can help try to save these young lives that we're losing. I'm very passionate about making a change in this area. As Mike stated, this issue must be addressed and change must happen. This is the #1 killer of our teens. Georgia ranks 5th in the nation for distracted driving fatalities. It is 100% preventable. Be the role model and show your children how to take just a few key seconds to make sure that he or she is prepared before they get behind the wheel of a car. I've been a supporter of the Lutzie 43 Foundation since its inception. As Mike stated, my daughter Morgan was a classmate and friend of Phillips at Auburn, and my 2 younger children attended Laster High School, where their children all went. I didn't get to know the Lutzie Kirkens until after Philip passed, but I always heard wonderful stories about what an awesome young man he was, what a great role model, what a great friend he was, and his legacy had the power to influence lives even after he left us on this earth. I believe the stories of his character will inspire young people to be better friends, to hold each other accountable, and will prioritize their safety over peer pressure. I'm truly honored and humbled to support the Lutzie 43 Foundation in honor of Philip. I believe his story will lead others to take this brief moment before making a poor decision as a driver or a passenger. To help support this work, I am honored to announce a grant in the amount of $239,000 to the Lutzie 43 Foundation on behalf of the Arthur M. Blank Family Foundation. I know this grant will be used to help save many lives, thousands, as Mike said, but I believe it'll be more than that. The work you do is incredible. It's tireless, as Rachel pointed out. Your family has been nonstop for the last several years. The message you deliver to our youth is exceptional. Your slogan is appropriately, live like Lutz, love like Lutz, and learn from Lutz. It will prevent unnecessary tragedies that result in that phone call that no mother or father ever wants to receive. Thank you all for being here today, and thanks to everyone involved in the Lutzie 43 Foundation for all the great work that you continue to do.
Can we get one more round of applause for this grant? I mean, this is... Whew, this is good stuff this morning. Wow, okay. I'd like right now to introduce and have the pleasure of introducing to you Arthur Blank. Arthur is the co-founder of Home Depot and the owner of the Atlanta Falcons and Atlanta United. And he's not only known for his business accomplishments, but I think one of the finest things and the biggest legacies that you can leave is as a philanthropist. You have shared and affected so many people's lives. And that's what I talk about. That's what Mike talks about. That's what the Lutzie 43 Foundation talks about, is what kind of legacy are you leaving? What will they say about you when you pass away? What good did you do, and whose lives did you affect? And Arthur, I can tell you, you've affected many, many, many people's lives with your generous heart and your caring spirit. And so it's really just an honor for me to introduce you today. And I'm also a Falcons fan, lifelong. My grandmother, it goes all the way back to my grandmother in a special beanie. I told him that story earlier. Through his generosity, the Arthur M. Blank Family Foundation has granted more than $360 million to support early childhood development, education, the arts, parks, and green space. Please join me in welcoming Arthur Blank.
I'll make this brief because we got to get ready for a game tonight. But actually, I found out, but Mike had shared with me, and I'm not sure the Giants are going to show up now. Is that I didn't know actually what a God wink was. I must say I hadn't heard the expression, but it's a great expression, and I'll remember it for the future. But Mike told me this morning. He said, "Do you know what's unique about today?" It was a whole lot of things unique about today, but one is that the number 43, as we've talked about in many different contexts, also represents tonight is the 43rd time that the Falcons have played on Monday Night Football. So I don't think the Giants will show up tonight. So they may have a couple of members of the team out there, but I don't think they're really going to show up tonight. So thank you for sharing that with me, and I'll make sure I'll tell the coach tonight before the game. So that's a great thought. I can't add much more to what my wife said. I want to thank her for her continued, passionate leadership in the area of making a difference in people's lives. Sometimes folks ask us, what does our foundation do? And rather go into a long speech, I said, basically, we're involved in changing people's lives and saving people's lives. And I think that the work that Mike and Mary and the family is doing is incredible. I met the granddaughter this morning. She's a beautiful, beautiful young lady. Also, I want to thank Abby, who's not here today, who works on our foundation staff and is doing incredible work and extending, Mary and Mike, your heart and your feelings about the earth and feelings about other people, et cetera, in a variety of ways. She's done a beautiful job for us. There's a connection, obviously, between mom and dad and her, but she's made this on her own, and I'm just very proud of her values and her culture and what she's doing for our foundation work. I thank you all for being here. Steve, particularly, I want to thank you as well. I said this to Mike earlier. I've known Steve and known of his work since I bought the Falcons in 2001, and Steve is probably the best writer that marries athletics and spirit. And so this is a perfect story. I wasn't aware that you were following it, and thank you for doing that. It's a great story. And I want to thank our folks here from Cobb County and your leadership and all the work that we do collectively to make sure young folks are making really better choices. And that's really what this is about. It's about helping young people make better choices in a whole variety of ways. And I think that Mike and Mary and the families to be saluted in extending this. It's not just about drunk driving; it is about distracted driving. And I think I'm very supportive of Mad and Amy Sands, who's lost a child, lost a son because of drunk driving, is involved with Mad. Obviously, my wife is closely affected and connected to Mad in a variety of different ways. But the only suggestion I've ever made to them is that you ought to try to kind of broaden your horizon, because I do think distracted driving is really what this is about today. Drinking is a big part of it, but so is drugs, so is texting, so is a variety of other things. So I think it's a great purpose, Mike. I think this is a symbol that will be important. I don't know that I can hang this. I'd like to hang it in my car, but Mercedes-Benz probably wouldn't be happy about Kia on the other side of it. So I'm going to have to kind of clear that with them. We're our folks here from Kia, but you do make a great product. And we'll figure out a way to do that together. But thank you all for being here, and thank you for your support, and thank you for your leadership, Mike and Mary and family, for everything that you're doing for our youngsters, because they are our future. I mean, they are our future. It's a great song about that, but I'm not going to sing it, but they are our future. So thank you very much, and good luck with everything, and we're proud to support it with our foundation. Thank you.
I'd like to just echo the sentiments of Arthur and thank our law enforcement in this day and age. If you guys will just join me. They're the people, as Mike mentioned, unfortunately, that have to have the grim task of delivering the news that we are trying to cut down. But you guys work tirelessly to protect us. Every time I see somebody in uniform, be it a first responder, a law enforcement officer, or as somebody in the military, I go over to them and thank them for their service, and I'll chase them down. So thank you so much for everything that you do for us every single day by putting your life on the line for us. And with that, finally, I'd like to it's my honor to introduce Harris Blackwood of the Georgia Governor's Office of Highway Safety. The number one mission of the Governor's Office of Highway Safety is to reduce the incidence of deaths and injuries on Georgia's roadways. To achieve that goal, the Georgia Governor's Office of Highway Safety focuses a lot on statistics. The Georgia Governor's Office of Highway Safety spends its time and money on education and making sure Georgia parents know how to safely transport their children, and that young adults think of the consequences of drinking and driving while distracted. Welcome, Harris.
Well, good morning. It's my pleasure to be here on behalf of Governor Deal and the men and women of the Governor's Office of Highway Safety. Mr. Blank, I want to thank you for sharing your beautiful bride with us in the safety community. She has become a very important part of the highway safety community in Georgia, and we are so grateful for her help and her leadership and her enthusiasm for what we are doing. You know, 8 years ago, Governor Deal gave me the greatest opportunity of my life in heading this office. It's not without its challenges. Every day, every morning, I get a report on fatalities. And sometimes they are young people. And you know, when you look at all of the languages of the world, we have words to describe a child who's lost a parent. We call them orphans. We have a word for a person who's lost a spouse. We use the term widow or widower. But in all the languages of the world, ladies and gentlemen, there is not a word for a parent who has lost a child. It's almost unspeakable. And I don't care if that child is 8 or 28. It's painful. And in my work, I have encountered many of those parents. And if there's a good thing, the good thing that has come out of that is that there are many parents who have channeled their energy and channeled their grief into making a difference, hoping to avoid what has happened in their life, hoping to really make a difference. Sometimes that's speaking to other young people. Young people think they're invincible. It's not going to happen to me. And we've been on too many school campuses where there's been a loss of life because of an automobile crash. And suddenly there's an awakening that says, yes, it could happen. It happened to my friend. It happened to somebody I know. It happened to somebody I care about. But let me tell you some good news. As of this morning, there have been 1,161 fatalities. That's not good news. But the good news is that last year, this time, there was 1,265 fatalities across the state. That's 104 people who get to celebrate Thanksgiving or Christmas or another birthday or another year or just another day on this earth. And I hope that number continues to go down. We had a tough few years. As smartphones came into prominence, so did texting. And we passed a law that made texting illegal. When we didn't have a law, people were doing this. When we passed the law, people were doing this, and they were taking their eyes off that road. And I hope that through this foundation, we will get that message out about distracted driving. Drunk driving continues to be a problem. 38 years ago, Candy Lightner and a group of moms came together and formed Mothers Against Drunk Driving. They have succeeded in making drunk driving an unacceptable behavior in this country. But ladies and gentlemen, there are people who still do it every night, everywhere we go. We have places we go, and we're trying to be more transparent these days. We will even go on social media and say, we're going to be in this town tonight, in this part of town, enforcing the drunk driving laws. And you know what happens? We still arrest van loads of them. And it is a horrible thing. We are making progress. Governor Deal has expanded our treatment courts. We were talking about that earlier, that we are not just locking somebody up and throwing away the key, because if you do that, when they get out, what are they going to do? Go right back to drinking again. We have succeeded in making that unacceptable. We're succeeding in treating people who have drug and alcohol problems. We are succeeding in treating those who come back from serving our country with mental conditions that make their functioning within society difficult. This foundation and this campaign is yet another tool in our arsenal. And I don't know how many keys you've made, but some people sometimes ask, well, how many people do you hope to reach? If we spend $250,000 on an advertising campaign and one person gets the message, it was a good day. If we go to a school and kids say, I hear what you're saying, I want to be a part of this. I want to make the pledge not to text and drive, not to drink and drive, to buckle my seatbelt. It can happen, and it will happen. And I want to thank you for what you're doing here today. And I hope people will take just those 43 seconds to get themselves prepared. An automobile is a wonderful, wonderful thing. But sometimes we fail to get that message, young people, that they're handling 2 tons of steel. And that 2 tons of steel used properly is a great source of freedom and adventure for young people wherever they want to go. But used improperly, it becomes a lethal weapon. And as of this morning, there are 1,161 people who have become victims of that. We know that over 90% of those can be avoided. Over 90%. And we often talk about Georgia being the #1 place to do business. Yes, that's great. We're in a top 5 right now I want us out of. We stand at number 5 in the country, behind California, Texas, Florida, and then North Carolina and Georgia kind of teeter and totter between 4th and 5th in the number of fatalities. We kill more people on the roads of this state than they kill in New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Michigan, Ohio, states that you would think are bigger than us. But ladies and gentlemen, we kill too many people on the roads. There is an epidemic out there called highway fatalities. And there are a lot of things that upset us at times, but we have an epidemic out there that's killing our people at the rate of about 3 to 4 a day, and we've got to do something about it. This is a step in the right direction. I salute you, I commend you, and this is an opportunity to save more lives in Georgia and beyond. Thank you, and God bless you, and God bless the great state of Georgia.
Harris, thank you. And Angie and Arthur and Penny McPhee's not here to award us a $239,000 grant is going to allow us to do many great things. I say this not jokingly, but Arthur, what you do is you're a grant maker, and our foundation is a grant seeker. Harris, we're going to get to know each other better. You are a grant seeker through the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration, and I'm going to be a grant taker from you to go make a difference in this state. And in closing, I want to share with you another God wink. When we looked at this initiative, I met with a PR firm here in Atlanta that I was very uncomfortable with to help us achieve our goals. And I walked out of that second meeting with them and made up my mind, I'm not going to be partnering with them. And I had a voice message from another PR firm I don't know anything about, the Thomas Group out of Knoxville, Tennessee. And the young lady left me a voice message and said, Mr. Lutzie, you don't know who I am, but my name is April. And our number one government client, NHTSA, National Highway Transportation Safety Administration, has become aware of your story, of your foundation and your son, and they'd like to get with you to talk about you being the focal point of their August and December initiative called Drive Sober or Get Pulled Over. If you don't think that's a God wink, that certainly gives you credence to what we're trying to do to get that type of voice message. That's my son, and that's God working in our behalf. So I want to thank everybody again for being here today. All of you represent something key in our life. Some of you are just meeting for the first time, like the representatives from Shepherd Center, to Garrett with AAA, to people that I've known all my life. I'm going to challenge us all to leave this room and think about how we can get with our friends that have influence in corporate, in government, in law enforcement, and in the educational areas to help us put a key in every driver's hand in this country. So thank you for coming today, and God bless everyone. Have a great day.